Dr. Collins, welcome to my YouTube channel. Dr. Collins is joining us from Los Angeles, USA. Welcome to Women of Substance, Dr. Collins.
Thank you. Thank you, Julie. Thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here.
It is so great to see you here, and I am thankful to you for taking out time. So, Dr. Collins, do you want to tell our viewers about your work?
Yeah, thank you. So I'm a women's equality speaker and author, and I run conferences and events for women around the world. I am hugely passionate about the potential of women to lead change across the world, whoever they are, wherever they are. And I love what I do. I've been doing it for 20 years and I, face challenges like we all do, but at the same time, I feel like I'm doing something that most days, if not every day, is making a difference in some small way. And that's a really big deal for me.
So Dr. Collins, do you want to tell our viewers why did you choose the field of work you are in at the moment?
I don't know if I chose it or if it chose me. I definitely sort of didn't sit down with a career counselor or anything and say, this is what I want to do.
Right.
My father wanted me to be an accountant. And then when he realized that wasn't going to happen, he wanted me to be a scientist. And then he realized that wasn't going to happen. So, I'm probably an eternal disappointment in that respect. But my mother was a wonderful role model for me. She was a working woman. She started working when I became a teenager. And, at that time, she'd been a stay-at-home mom for 13 years. So to watch her get dressed every day and put on her 1980s power suits and go to work and make her way up into a very successful role was very inspiring to me. So I felt like I want to be you, I wanted to be her. And then I went into university. I did a business degree, but unfortunately in the final year of my college years, my mother died very suddenly, and she actually ended up taking her own life, which was very, very, very difficult. For anybody that's familiar will know what I mean. But I think that it really sort of changed the trajectory of my life. I probably would have ended up getting a job, along with my students in my class, but I didn't. I ended up traveling quite extensively, spent a number of months in India, and really opened my eyes to the world. And when I came back to England 4 years later, I was determined that I wanted to do something that was a bit of a road less traveled. And that's gave me the opportunity. It took me a few years. I didn't suddenly land in Heathrow and go, okay, I'm going to start my own business. It took a few years, and there was a lot of sort of trouble and strife along the way. But when I turned 30, and I'm about to turn 50 now, when I turned 30 was when I came up with the idea of wanting to start a business or an organization that was dedicated towards the advancement of women. And lots of people said, you're crazy, it's not going to work. And people would think you're a feminist. Like that's a bad thing, but I did it anyway. So here I am 20 years later.
People still asking, why are you doing what you're doing? And I said, that's something which is very close to my heart. It's not about the money. That I wanted to raise women's voices from around the world, and that's exactly what I'm doing. That's something.
Yes. Yeah. So you understand.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So Dr. Collins, you want to tell our viewers what is your biggest challenge till date? Anything which stands out, which was very difficult in this?
Oh God, where should I begin? There are many, but there are certain things that would stand out as turning points. And definitely when I just spoke about my mother's passing, that was a huge challenge, but also a huge turning point at the same time. For me, I'm more about the small challenges I have every single day, and every single day there seems to be a multitude of them. There are sort of less big dramatic events happening unless you count sort of external events like COVID, of course, it's going rife around the world right now. For me, every day it's important to stay on course. I think that there are many, many distractions, and I can be really good at talking myself out of things, as we all can. So it's a internal mind battle most days to keep going with the things that I'm really passionate about, that I care about. I would say one of my biggest challenges, which a lot of women I'm sure would associate with, is with time management. So I have 3 children and all at home right now in lockdown, and so there's homeschooling to be done, and there's meals to be made, and there's housework to be done. And just before this call, I had 10 minutes before this session with you, Julie, and I have 10 minutes. It's a huge amount of time. So I was running around the house. Okay, have you brushed your teeth? Okay, pajamas off. Okay, do we have the laptops downstairs? And then finally, did I eat something? No, I didn't eat something. I'll do that afterwards. I did make a cup of coffee, running around at top speed. And then a sort of quick download to my husband. Okay, I'm going on this call. This is done. And he's like, okay. Looking like, how did you do that much in 10 minutes? Wow, it was 10 minutes. It was huge. A lot can be done in 10 minutes.
I know what you mean. Fortunately, my children are grown up and in college, so I have more time on my hand.
I am looking forward to that.
Yeah, I was. So I think you sort of talked about it a little, but what are your weaknesses? I mean, we know about your strengths. We want to know about your weaknesses.
Oh, I have many. Someone told me yesterday I probably should have therapy on all my weaknesses. And I said, yeah, probably I should. But the therapist would be there for a very long time. I do like to move at speed. I get very frustrated at the slow pace of change. And I'm not very good at recognizing my achievements. People say to me a lot, well, you've done so much, you've achieved so much. And I always feel like, yes, but, that there's so much more to do. And there's so many more issues to deal with. And there's so many women around the world who could use the support and the camaraderie and the tools that we provide. So it's a never-ending sort of bucket of things that I want to do. And so sometimes that can leave me tired. Sometimes it can leave me despondent. Sometimes it can leave me feeling like I'm not doing enough. And I have to give myself a very strong talking to. And actually I do go back to, I keep the emails of women that have attended our conferences and courses. And I have some really good friends, and I will reach out to them, or I will read the emails and it's okay, Sam, you're doing all you can. You're doing great things. Just calm yourself down, calm your boots. It's all good. So I have to make myself do that. It's not easy, but I've got some good support, and I have to really push myself to do that sometimes.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying. So Dr. Collins, do you want to tell our viewers about your main strengths? I know there are many, but your main strengths.
Well, you know me a little bit. What would you say is one of my strengths? I'm just curious. I'm asking this question to people right now because I think I know what my strengths are. And then I ask other people, and they always tell me something surprising. So I'm going to put it back on you.
I think it is that's what I've found, that I think the diligence of your work is something which really, really I appreciate it, because I get these emails from you on a regular basis, very focused, sort of, even though during the interview you said that, you're struggling with time, but doesn't look like you are. You don't come out as you're struggling with time. You're to the point, you're very punctual. So I think that's that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you.
Yeah, I think to get somewhere and to do what you love doing, I think that's something which is very essential to anybody's life.
Oh, I agree. I mean, actually, I was just thinking about this morning. We have our next conference coming up in a few weeks, Aspire Resolve. And the conferences that we've done so far this year are Reimagine in June and Aspire Reinvent in October. And in those, it's very much about imagining the future and what do you want and your goals. And everybody loves doing that. It's something that we can really enjoy and be inspired about. It's not so easy then to actually follow through.
Yes.
I think this is where many of us sort of fall off the road and we say, okay, all sorts of plausible reasons why I can't do it now. It's just too difficult, whatever it is. And it can be really hard in that day-to-day sort of grind sometimes of making sure that you stay on the path. And so those skills of determination and resilience and focus, I think focus is massive.
Yes.
And I really do pride myself on my focus, and it's something that I have had to learn over, the 20 years of running my own business. You have to be focused, and sometimes you think you're focused, but actually you're a sort of starburst on a multitude of things. So staying on track, staying on the road, but also at the same time, we have to be flexible and innovative on that journey, and I think that's important too.
Because I think what I've found is that a lot of people do hold these big events and then there is no follow through. And that's the reason that the eventual success or the eventual goals you're trying to achieve are not reached. And I think that's something I found completely different in you. That's something you are, very focused, and you just don't do the event and let go and then follow through. So I think that's one of the reasons you're able to do what you're able to, achieve what you want to do. So that's what I believe.
Well, thank you. I mean, it's very important to, and it's not always an easy thing for me to do. It's very important sometimes to step back and observe.
Yes.
What am I seeing? What am I hearing? What am I feeling as a result of this event? What's needed now? And always having one ear open for that is really, really key. And certainly at our last event in October, there was a huge call for community.
Yes.
How do we support each other tomorrow? Not in another event in 2 months' time, but how do we support each other tomorrow? And especially right now, it's so dark for so many women, so difficult. And I think for those women that are not in that place, it's our responsibility to help shine a light around for everybody. And for those that are in that dark place, we together can work together to help each other. And this is not an alien idea for women. This is something that we're very, very, very familiar with. And so it's now, now is really our time. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And I think you're doing a fantastic work. And I know the reason I wanted to do this interview because we share the same values. And I think it is very important to reach out to as many women as possible. I know that we've not been able to reach out to as many, but I think it's a great start. And I'm sure that we'll get there someday.
Well, congratulations on doing this. I think using platforms like this and doing these kind of interviews, who knows is going to watch it.
Yes.
And maybe whoever's watching it might be a little bit inspired or feel a little bit more resilient.
Yeah.
And that makes a big difference.
So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking our time to giving me this interview. I really appreciate it. If you're watching my channel for the first time, we have such wonderful women like Dr. Sam Collins on this platform on a regular basis. So do subscribe to my channel. Dr. Collins, thank you so much for taking our time to giving me this interview.
My pleasure. Anytime.